I'd like to welcome you to uh, this week's devotional. I began to think, as I have many days in seeing things, and thinking about the thought that each one of us so often find ourselves in a situation where we are self-consumed. We begin looking at ourselves and thinking about all that I have to do, all that I have to accomplish today, all that I'm able to look forward to, whether it be enjoyment or work or whatever it might be. We begin to become self-consumed, and as we do those things, often we forget who we should be as children of God. We start the day knowing that I have to be in town, I have to do certain things, I have to acquire certain items. Uh, And sometimes when it is one's only day off and you begin to try to put all these things into one day, it becomes difficult to accomplish. And so as we spend or we go further in that day, the more consumed we become with ourselves and our needs and our wants, the less we begin to care about others. We become frustrated with that one driving down the street who might be driving slower than I am, or that one who is standing in line trying to do something. I know now you go to the bank and it takes a long time for everyone to go through the window. And everyone thinks that their time is more important than everyone else's. And so I want us to think about these ideas as a Christian, who it is I am supposed to be. How am I supposed to act? And as I look at these things, trying to decide if I get it done, it's all right, and if I don't, it's all right. There's always tomorrow, there's always the next day, and quite frankly, if it's not, then it doesn't matter. But I want us to think on those things, how we treat other people when we become self-consumed. We're either pushing them to get in a rush, or we think we ought to be the first one in line, or we ought to be the first one that's serviced, or they ought to get finished with that person so they can wait on me. And in doing so, we begin to treat others poorly. We began to treat them as if they were unimportant. And as we think about those things, we have this idea that doing to others that you would have them doing to you. But the fact is the idea is we should be doing unto others as Christ would have us do, or as God would have us do. I want us to go to Philippians, the second chapter. I'm going to read verses 1 through 7. He said, "So if there's any encouragement in Christ, any comfort from love, any participation in the Spirit, and affection and sympathy, if there's any of these things in the Christian, in that child of God," he said, "complete my joy." This is Paul himself being, "complete my joy by being of the same mind, having the same love, being in full accord and of one mind, doing nothing from selfish conceit." Doing nothing from selfish conceit, but in humility, count others more significant than yourselves. Let each of you look not only to his own interest, but to the interest of others. Have this mind among yourselves, which is yours in Christ Jesus, who, though he was in the form of God, did not count equality with God a thing to be grasped, but he emptied himself by taking the form of a servant, being born in the likeness of man. Have you ever thought about what it took to humble oneself and being equal with God, but humbling oneself to being that of serving man? You see, as we go out into this world, as we work, as we go through our daily routine, and sometimes it is rushed, we need to be looking about, we need to be paying attention. We need to be courteous. We need to be seeing and realizing that there are other people besides ourselves, and sometimes, really, what they have going on is far more important than my little deeds that often seem to be something I have to get done, I have to rush to accomplish. You see, if we'll take the time, if we'll wait on that person, and often there are those who are standing in the way, We don't consider the difficulties and the trials they've had throughout the day. We don't consider the things that happened last night, and knowing that maybe they fell into some bad situation, and today is just a leftover. It's just trying to get by. He said, count yourselves, count yourself as being less than that other person. Look at that other person and be willing to serve them. Be willing to wait on them. Be willing to stop and visit with them, give them a kind word. See, there's nothing that is so rushed in our lives that is worth destroying any chance of relationship with others, especially if we can show them who Christ is. If we can help them through the day, if we can help them to see that not everybody is like the world. They begin to look at us and see us differently and realize that we belong to God and that we act different, we treat them differently, and we can begin to give them the things we have. So I want us to take a look at ourselves this week as we rush through our day, trying to be the first one there, feeling like we're the most important, and begin looking at those around us and saying, I wonder what they need, looking for them, searching for a way to serve them. If it's nothing more than a smile, nothing more than a thank you, nothing more than a pleasant gesture, and make them feel like they're important this week. Let them see God at work in you so that they might understand that there are people in this world that are kind and generous and polite and showing the love of God. I thank you so much for being with us today, and may God bless you.